Okay, so like I promised, here's the next video. This one's gonna be on parents. We all have problems with our parents. It's just part of life. I don't get along with my parents. I'm sure they didn't get along with their parents. My advice to you, and you need to know where I'm coming from, is that my parents are the parents where they basically care about my grades. That's all it feels like. It feels like they push me and they push me and they push me. And that's hard for me because I'm the person that if you put too much pressure on me, I will crack. And I will crack all the way down to the center. And I think the most problems we've had in this household is how we treat each other, if you know what I mean. You know, I might say a little something to my brother and not know how it affects him. And that's something I've always regretted, is the way I've talked to my family. You know, I think I do take them for granted sometimes, you know. I look up some of my friends that don't have families. You know, one of my friend's mom died last year, and I take it for granted that my mom's still around. You know, my mom right now is at work. You know, she went to college because as a kid, I wouldn't say that we were poor, but I wouldn't say that there was always money there for what I wanted. Whereas right now, my family's doing pretty well. And I think she did that because my mom, as a kid, was never given things like I am. You know, you can go into my room and easily take something out that's worth $100. And it wasn't always like that. It wasn't. You know, I've always been given the best in life. I will admit that. You know, I had name brand clothes, you know, as a kid, and my mom had stuff from when she was still a teenager. You know, my mom did go through a lot of work to have me and my siblings, and I will admit she did a lot of crap for us. But at the same time, I find it hard to deal with her because she is a lot like me, stubborn, proud, you know, always feels like you're right no matter what's said. And that does make it difficult to talk to her. And not only that, I'm so afraid of being judged. I think everyone is. It's just that moment when you let someone in and you're not scared, and you're scared of what they will think. And me and my mom have never had a good concrete relationship. And I think that that's what I would tell you to do. And I know it's not easy, and trust me, it's not, because I've tried for years. And the thing about that is you need to stick with it. You can't be all like, oh, I want a relationship with my mom, but 10 minutes later say, I don't want anything to do with her. And yeah, we all have times where we just want to stay away from our parents. We don't want anything to do with them. And I'll admit that I've had my moments. But there's also times where I sit down and I look around me and I think I would do everything in my power just to keep it this way. And that's part of life. Everything's not always going to be easy and always your way. You've just got to make the most of what you have. And I know right now I sound like an inspiration book, but it's true, you know, some of the stuff I've been through. You know, for an example, last summer, I was with my friends and her mom and her mom's boyfriend in the pool, and we were having the best time. We were playing volleyball, and it was fun, you know. And the next day I got news that my friend's mom died, and I was just torn. And I'm gonna start crying. It's hard. It's hard to lose someone, especially if you're not that close to them. But to walk into somewhere and just see the pain in someone's eyes, it's horrible. So I say, when you're in a good moment, you stop and you realize that good moment, especially with your parents, because It doesn't matter who you are or who your parents are. They made a sacrifice to have you. Do you know how much it costs to have a baby these days? It costs a lot. And even to raise a child, I never knew how much it cost. My jeans right now, they're worth about $25. And I don't think I'll ever grasp how much my parents have sacrificed, and I don't think you guys will either, because we're teenagers. We don't see what goes on behind the scenes. For another example, I was having a hard time at school, and all I saw that was happening was that my parents kept telling me, you've got to raise your grades, you've got to raise your grades. And I was thinking, this is stupid. They're just telling me to raise my grades. They're not actually helping me. It turns out that my parents were doing everything they could, They were coming up with plans. They were talking about what's the best way to help me. And I didn't see that. It wasn't until this summer when I realized they are helping me. You just don't see it. Another piece of advice for your parents. If you're the oldest, it is hard to talk to your parents. It is. I'm the oldest, and sometimes I wish I wasn't. I wish I was the youngest. Not saying that I don't love my siblings, but it is hard being the oldest. All that responsibility is put on you. And it is hard to talk to your parents because they're always consumed with your younger siblings. So what I say is that there are times when my younger siblings are at events, so it's usually just me and my parents. And even if there's not, I would recommend going up to your mom and saying, you know how we had those mother-daughter or father-mother or father-son getaways when I was a kid? Because I'm sure some of you have had them. I would like to do that again. And while you're out with your parents, because I guarantee you, if you go to your parent and say, I want to spend time with you, they're not going to be like, you're not worth my time. Because deep down, every mother and father loves their kids. And I know I sound like a naive kid. And for those of you struggling with child abuse, I don't know what to tell you. There's no easy solution. Never is there an easy solution. Again, if you ever need help with a specific problem, comment. And I'm serious, because I will read your comments and I will do a video for you. I promise. The next conversation I'm going to have is biological parents. My biological father is not around. He's not. And it's hard. Yes, it's hard. I'd love to know who he is. But you know what? I have my mom. And I love my mom. And there's nothing I wouldn't do in this world for her. And I have Chris, my stepdad. Well, he's my dad. I call him my dad. It's complicated. And I love him. And even though he's not my biological dad, he's the closest thing. He is. Because he knows me better than anyone does. I can make a face and he knows exactly what I'm thinking. So, just because your biological parents aren't there doesn't mean you don't have someone to step in their place. And, I'm going to give my friend Daisy an example. I don't think she wants to know who he is. And that's alright. It doesn't matter if you don't want to know. It's just... It's hard for me to do this conversation because I've always put thought into this. But if you don't want to know who he is, then don't. Just keep living your life. And if he doesn't come around, that's his fault, not yours. He or she's left you, and that's their fault. Because I like to admit it. Yes, I fight with people. Yes, I don't like some people. But no one is a waste of space. And I'd like to repeat that. Nobody is a waste of space. You're all here for a reason, and you all have a purpose in life. And if you stick to that purpose, I guarantee you're gonna find where you're supposed to be. You just gotta hold on strong. And if one of your parents aren't there, it's their fault, not yours. Theirs. And it's their loss, not yours, because they missed out on you. And yeah. Again, if you guys need any advice on any situation, I'll try my best. I haven't lived all your lives, so I might have a hard time. Anything. I'm dead serious. Comment, subscribe, do whatever. Love you guys.